Welcome to Winning Begins at Home. I'm going to call summer officially underway. I'm not sure the calendar agrees. I believe we got a couple more weeks till the equinox hits or whatever they call it. But we last week ended May with a 4-3-2-1 countdown. If you missed that, I hope you'll go back and check it out. Gave you the really cool little way to think about preparing for summer, going into summer. And I hope some of you now have that vacation scheduled that we talked about on Friday. Also hope you had a just good last few days. Want us to jump in here this week, and I'm going to dabble in a subject that probably not qualified to talk about so much. I don't pretend to be a doctor at all here, but I want to talk about mental health this week a little bit. And I say mental health, emotional health. I think there's some things that are on my mind and heart that I want to give to our audience, get you to think about a little bit. And I just want to frame this up because I'm guessing that some of you are listening and you feel like you're at a really great place and you're not dealing with any kind of challenging stuff right now. I heard somebody say one time, you're either just come out of something hard, you're in something hard, or you're going to go into something hard. And so with that spirit, I think we all probably can benefit from what we're going to talk about this week. But the statistics, I've mentioned them here before and on our Lead Everyday show that I do with Mark Miller. By the way, if you haven't checked that out, you're looking for some help at work. We still get great reviews there and some good feedback on ways that we're helping people win in the workplace. But here we're trying to help you win beyond work. So listen to Lead Every Day for work stuff. But here, Winning Begins at Home. I want you to really think this week about what's going on. What are you doing to prepare yourself to be resilient and ready to take on whatever it is that you're facing at home or at work. And this mental health thing, I've read a lot about it. Obviously, I'm an older guy and grew up in a different time, and a lot of stuff that was, my wife says it was all swept under the rug, decades ago, and don't step on the rug, but I think there's some truth to that. It's much more of the conversation today in 2025. But I've got 3 or 4 little ways to think about this week. I think will be helpful. Again, I'm not a doctor. You may need professional help. Go get it if you do. But I want us to think about some things that I think we do have control over. And the idea for this came about a week ago. I was listening to a documentary from the Inside the NBA guys, Shaq and Charles and Kenny Smith. But their host, Ernie Johnson, is a guy that I really I respect a lot. His dad actually was the old announcer for the Braves when I was a kid, and I just always have loved listening to Ernie. And in this documentary, Ernie made a statement, and I don't know if you know much about his story. He's actually he's written a really great book. But you can learn about Ernie's story if you don't know it. But one of the things that they've been challenged with is they had a kid that was just really a challenging situation. If I recall correctly, I believe he may have had spina bifida or something, but just a gut wrenching story in some ways. But in some ways, it just shaped Ernie and who he is. And he talks about this and really great stuff. He didn't talk about it on the documentary, but one of the things he says on the documentary that just really leveled up my respect for him even more, having known that story, known what he's gone through, is he talked about the things that you can control. He said there are 3 things that you can control. And you may listen to these and go, what does that have to do with mental health? I think if you will try to connect some dots here today, and it may not even be for you. There may be some people around you who are struggling. I hope you'll give some thought to this and how can you encourage some people around you. But maybe for you, one of the reasons you might be struggling right now is you've not given attention to the things you can control. And here's what Ernie said. He said we can control whether or not we have a positive attitude. I love that to start with. It's just so many people I know, they're struggling, and yet they allow their struggle to snowball into something even harder. And again, if you have medical stuff going on, that's one thing. But so many times we allow ourselves to get to a place of high anxiety, high stress, maybe even depression, doubt, fear, whatever your word is there, because of our attitude. We just begin to believe things that aren't really true. we think things are worse than they really are. We'll talk about that maybe later in the week. But I want to ask you today, what are you doing with your attitude? Are you choosing to approach each day with optimism? And as you begin a new week here, what do you believe is going to happen this week? Are you excited about, today's a Monday. Most of us are not looking too forward to a Monday. I think every day is a gift, and it's an opportunity for us to get up. And so this attitude is, I've heard people say your attitude determines your altitude. All those things are kind of cliche, but the reality is your attitude does have a lot to do with whether you're going to go to a positive place or a negative place. We tell people in the workplace all the time, it's hard to go to a positive place with negative people. If you're surrounded by negative people at work, it's really challenging, especially if your culture has become negative. But if you as a leader are not positive outside of work and you're allowing maybe even work to affect your attitude, maybe that'd be a place this week you need to step it up a little bit. I've got an area or two of my life, unrelated to attitude, but an area or two last week I was thinking I need to step it up in this area, and attitude might be that area for you. So you can control your attitude. You can't control your circumstances, but you can control your attitude. I like Ernie's reminder. You do have control of your attitude. Here's the second thing he said. He said you have a control over three things. The second thing he said is you have control over how hard you work. And I love the reminder that nobody gets to tell me how hard I'm going to work. I'm either going to give effort or I'm not. I can engage or disengage. My boss doesn't get to decide that. Ultimately, it's me. I have to decide. Now, when you own your own company, you are your boss, and it's imperative that you decide that you're going to lean in and engage and model what you want others to follow. But you may be in a situation where you do report to someone and they're negative maybe, and they're not leaned in, and that still doesn't have to affect what you do. You get to decide what your attitude is going to be. It will be affected, by the way, by your boss or by the people around you. It will be affected by your spouse and your kids. And let's go back home. The people around you, that it's going to affect you. Attitude is contagious in so many ways, positive or negative. But I think we can have those conversations if we need to, put ourselves in positive situations, make sure we're hanging out with the positive people. But we get to lean in and we get to work. Now, I know you're thinking, well, I thought this wasn't about work. It's really not. We get to work on ourselves. How hard do you need to work on yourself? How hard do you need to work on your family? How hard do you need to work on maybe something that you're doing outside of work that you're passionate about? Maybe you're volunteering in a nonprofit. I was talking to a guy just last night. He was talking about how he's been volunteering in a nonprofit, and he during the day he works for a company, makes his money, but on his nights and weekends he has time where he can volunteer, and he loves that, and it's life-giving to him. And so I think sometimes we forget that we do have a accelerator here, and we can put our foot on the gas when it comes to how hard we work. So good reminder there, Ernie, that we have control over how hard we work. And then the third thing, and legendarily here for Ernie, this is true about him, maybe a lot of those guys on that set from what the documentary talked about, but how you treat people. You do have control over how you treat people. And I want to encourage you to do some evaluating. Have you been treating the people around you at home in a positive way? Have you been working on the relationships the way you should be? Have you been treating them the way that you would want to be treated? I just think sometimes we forget that it's not really about us. If we can just focus on the people around us and making their lives better. We always say, and winning begins at home. I even wrote about this. We want to live our lives in such a way that the people who know us the best actually love us the most. How do we do that? We treat them a certain way. We treat them with kindness and with gentleness, and we use the right tone of voice and all those things. And again, you may be thinking, what does all that have to do with mental health? Here's what I've noticed. When I'm positive and when I work hard and when I treat people the right way, it actually brings a lot of joy to me. And I've not met very many people who are depressed who have a lot of joy. And so, again, I don't pretend to be an expert on this, but I would just encourage you this week to approach every day with positivity. Do what you can to do your best, to work hard and really treat people the right way. And I believe that you're going to set yourself up for something really great if you'll do that. All right, tomorrow we're going to take a little bit different angle and dive a little more into this emotional and mental side of things. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things in our life that are hard, a lot of hard stuff that we're all facing. I hope you'll come back tomorrow for that. And I think there's two kinds of hard. We're gonna unpack that and see if we can't maybe eliminate some of the stuff that we need to, and maybe double down on some and lean in on some of the stuff that it may be hard, but it's going to be something that's going to be, actually it's going to make us stronger when it's all said and done. So join us for that. Hope you'll subscribe, hit the like button if you've not done that. Make sure you share with your friends and family. Come back for tomorrow's episode of Winning Begins at Home. All right, love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.